Hello and welcome to Wook's Books, the place where deadlines are made up and only you and the stories matter. This month we read, of course, The Mysterious Affair at Styles, not of Styles, as I keep saying, by Agatha Christie, a woman who needs no introduction. But for the uninitiated, Dame Agatha Christie is the author of 66 books, 14 short story collections, and the longest running play in history, The Mousetrap, which ran continuously from 1952 until a pause in production from March of 2020 to May of 21 due to the COVID pandemic. The Queen of Crime is most famous for her stories featuring Miss Marple, an elderly woman who works as an amateur detective, and of course, the hero of this month's book, Hercule Poirot. With estimates putting her sales numbers between 2 and 4 billion books sold, that's billions with a B, Agatha Christie is the best-selling fiction author of all time. She also holds the record as the most translated author of all time, with works translated into over 100 different languages. Our book, The Mysterious Affair at Styles, was Christie's first. Having been written in 1916 during the First World War, and first published as a serial in the Times in 1920, followed by publication in the US as a novel in October of the same year, and in the UK the following January. I chose to include it in this year's book club because I like mysteries. I read them a lot as a kid. Encyclopedia Brown, Sherlock Holmes, The Boxcar Children. Later, those gave way to Léon Macduff, The Big Sleep, and Poirot. Where better to start with such stories than him? And where better to start than at the beginning of his story, and with the book I already own. Our story begins when the narrator, Arthur Hastings, returns to England on sick leave from the Western Front of World War I. After running into John Cavendish, a childhood friend he hasn't seen in years, while trying to decide what to do with himself, Arthur agrees to spend the time at John's childhood home of Styles Court, a country estate owned by his stepmother, Emily Inglethorpe. Deciding a return to the peaceful countryside of Essex would do him some good, Hastings agrees, and soon finds himself settled in among the other members of the household quite nicely. It doesn't take long, however, before the peaceful atmosphere of the manor is shattered by Emily's sudden death under suspicious circumstances, of course. With foul play immediately suspected, Hastings seeks the help of his old acquaintance, the brilliant and eccentric Belgian detective Hercule Poirot, who happens to be staying at the nearby village as a war refugee under Emily's sponsorship. As this is Poirot's first appearance, Christie has yet to develop the master sleuth's use of psychology, and instead Hercule places great sway in not only his own method, but those of the people around him. As he meticulously examines clues, unravels alibis, and brings to light hidden motives, ranging from affairs to financial desperation, the Belgian detective uncovers a complex web of deception. But the web is made out to be more complex than need be. Why? Well, because of an over-ambitious narrator. Christie cleverly uses Hastings' narration to not only guide the reader through the mystery, but to subtly mislead and mask key hints and clues through his own assumptions, ego, and occasional incompetence. His over-eagerness to be the Watson to Poirot's Sherlock, and sometimes just to be Sherlock himself, often finds him jumping to conclusions with unfounded confidence, mistaking superficial charm or suspicious behavior for concrete evidence. His limited perspective, further clouded by romantic notions of heroism and a strong desire to be the detective himself, becomes a narrative tool Christie exploits to obscure the truth from Hastings, and thus the reader. His belief in his own deductive powers often causes him to miss or misinterpret the subtle cues that Poirot notices immediately. Christie lightly satirizes this ambition by having Poirot gently poke at Hastings, typically with a kind of patronizing affection for leaping to conclusions or focusing on the red herrings. This contrast between Hastings' flawed narrative and Poirot's piercing logic and method heightens the suspense and allows Christie to conceal the murderer's identity until the final revelation, delivering both surprise and satisfaction to readers. But not everyone found this book satisfying. At least, not in our book club. A member of our book club, Gracious Rainbow on Discord, pointed out that the affair at Styles starts off predictably, and that she had to remind herself that it was written a long time ago, over 100 years ago if we're counting. And her comment brings about a very good point. When reading books written in the past, especially foundational works in any genre, it's important to remember that many of the tropes and plot devices we now consider cliché were groundbreaking at the time. Authors like Agatha Christie, Arthur Conan Doyle, and Dorothy L. Sayers helped define the conventions of the mystery genre. Twists, red herrings, and brilliant detectives weren't tired tropes when they used them. They were the blueprint. Much of what feels familiar today is the result of decades of imitation and homage to these early masters of the craft. This context can make older works feel predictable to modern readers, but that predictability doesn't diminish their originality or brilliance. In fact, their lasting influence only reinforces how effective and compelling their storytelling was. You don't have to become a devoted fan of Christie or Doyle to enjoy contemporary mysteries, but understanding that today's genre is built on their innovations can help us appreciate how far the genre has come and how much it still owes to those who came before. Another point Gracious Rainbow makes in her comment is about a certain sentence. Depending on how you experience this book, you may be familiar with this sentence or you may not. If you listen to the audiobook read by the real Poirot, David Suchet, you wouldn't know what she's talking about. Suchet hides the issue in his performance by having the character who says the line laugh through the line. If you read the book, or heard the audiobook as read by, say, Oliver Thompson, as Gracious Rainbow did, then you heard the problem. To be blunt, Dorcas, the headmaid, refers to someone wearing blackface while having a dress-up night as them dressing like, that's a word I'm not going to repeat, but I think we can see the issue. Lots of questions get raised when that word, and words like it, come into play in works from the past. The only one I am going to address here, aside from making it perfectly clear that referring to people with that word, whether casually like Dorcas, or to purposefully hurt someone makes you a horrible person, is whether or not what Suchet did, removing it from the work, is acceptable. To me, a random white man on the internet, it is wrong to remove that word from historical works, even when used casually the way Dorcas does. Because to me, what you are doing is taking an eraser to the mistakes made by the people of the past. By doing so, you're doing a disservice to the people of the time who suffered because of those mistakes. You are pretending that people did not speak this way, that people did not think this way, and pretending it didn't happen, which is a large part of the systemic racism issues in this country, pretending they don't exist. Leaving the mistakes in place, admitting they were horrible things to do, learning from them, and moving forward in a way that makes sure they don't happen again. That's the right course of action. Fixing the problems, not erasing the mistakes. Does this make Suchet, or his producer, or whoever changed the line in the audiobook script, a horrible person? No. I completely understand someone not wanting to say that, not wanting to act that out. Altering the piece through performance as it changes media isn't exactly the same as removing it from the original work. Lines get changed from book to film and television all of the time. To me, the integrity of the original work is what is important. And the ebook, tied to the Suchet audiobook through Amazon's WhisperSync, includes the original text, as did other copies I looked into. Now, Gracious Rainbow lowered her score from 3.5 to 2 stars because of the use of that word. Is she right to do so? Hell yeah. It's her review. of her experience with the book. And the appearance of the word and her discomfort with it is a valid part of that experience. Let me know in the comments if you had a similar experience as she did, while I tell you my thoughts on the book. I think it's safe to assume I enjoyed The Mysterious Affair at Styles simply because I chose it for the book club despite having read it before. As I said earlier, I enjoy a good mystery. I'm especially fond of old school detectives like Poirot who think their way through the crime. When I read something in this genre, I'm not looking for an action-packed story, though moments of action are fine. Nor am I looking for a police procedural. Probably because of my history with children's mysteries, there's not a lot of violence in those. Also, transitioning to Sherlock Holmes in 4th grade means I didn't learn to expect car chases and mysteries. I find the atmosphere of an English country estate of this era easy to find the vibe of. Even though this book took place during the First World War, there is a certain slowness to the country life I find appealing. So, I find it easy to place myself in among the people who inhabit this story. Yes, they are rather tropey. Mary Cavendish is the clingy, jealous girl who gets back at her husband by hanging around someone he doesn't like. Lawrence hides his feelings for Cynthia because, of course, she is in love with John. It's a side of popcorn drama entangled in the web Hastings and Poirot have to pull apart, and I'm here for it. Speaking of the web, I can't stand a mystery story that doesn't lay out all of the clues for the reader. You know the ones. Where at the end of the story, there's some hidden brother you've never heard of. Or the detective secretly had the murder weapon all along and it was hidden from the audience. A good murder mystery needs to be solvable by the reader. And Christie does a good job of laying all of the clues out for us to follow along, even if she does hold off on the cousin's reveal till the end. Watching Poirot untangle the ball of yarn that is the plot, only to watch Hastings get tangled back up in it, is a fun way to experience the confusion of others if you're the type who figured out who it was early on. And his ineptitude is a good scapegoat for if you get it wrong at the end. Either way, you will enjoy the two's banter, and slap your forehead at Hastings' private musings as to the Belgian detective's usefulness and faculties in his forced retirement. I know I did, and I knew who did it the whole time. I also know that I'm giving Agatha Christie's The Mysterious Affair at Styles a 4 out of 5 stars. But how many stars will I give to next month's book? Next month, we are reading Jade City by Fonda Lee. A book I can't hold up and show you because I still need to go buy it so I can read it. Jade City is a gripping Godfather-esque saga of intergenerational blood feuds, vicious politics, magic, and kung fu, according to Goodreads. But what does the back of the book have to say about it? For centuries, honorable green bone warriors have used magical jade to enhance their abilities and defend the island of Kekon from foreign invasion. Now, the war is over and a new generation vies for control of Kekon's bustling capital city. 4 siblings of the powerful Kull family must prepare for battle, and the fragile peace between the clans is about to break. That's where I'm going to leave that this month. Find out more with me and the rest of the book club by reading the book with us. You can pick up the Kindle edition, audiobook, hardcover, and paperback from Amazon. Kobo also has this one in ebook. Books A Million and Barnes & Noble have the paperbacks on their website. I don't know if my local Books A Million has it in stock or not, as I haven't picked up my copy yet. Don't forget to check Libby and Hoopla for free library copies, or just check your local library. And as always, there's the best option, supporting your local bookstore. Look here, it's a subscribe button. You should click it. Oh wait, over here, last month's book club video. And this one right here, the Liam of Carcan playlist. Yeah, I wrote that. But if you're not going to click on any of those, then I hope you will go and enjoy a book.